All right, bear with me, folks, as I I go with this new person, Nina Jankowicz. She, from my understanding, is the will she be the communication or the disinformation? A person that distinguishes disinformation and are the Ministry of Truth? Is that who she is going to be dealing with? Now, this is I wanted to just put out there. This is Barack Obama. He said something about.
Now, the good news is that almost all the big tech platforms now acknowledge some responsibility for content on their platforms, and they're investing in large teams of people to monitor it. Given the sheer volume of content, this strategy can feel like a game of whack-a-mole. Still, in talking to people at these companies, I believe they are sincere in trying to limit content that engages in hate speech, encourages violence, or poses a threat to public safety. They genuinely are concerned about it. They want to do something about it.
So the question is, what is hate speech? Who defines it? And, this person right now is being attacked, Nina Jankowicz. And nowadays, if you take an unpopular position, or even a position that's unpopular with a large group of people, they're going to humiliate you. And they have her basically singing a song that's kind of like Mary Poppins, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, about misinformation, and some of the things that she has believed is misinformation has been, from my understanding, has been rather valid. So the question is, what makes information valid and what makes information not? And should our nation, our country, America, should it be protected from disinformation? Should it be protected from what they believe to be hate speech? Are these arguments valid? I'd like to see what type of definition they mean by hate speech, and they say any, and how they define it, and because you go online and their definition of hate speech doesn't seem really well defined online, and what determines what is or is not hate speech. And a lot of these terms are rather arbitrary. And unfortunately, it seems like both sides are talking, if they're talking together at all, they're talking at one another, not to each other or with each other. And I don't know if in politics that was ever the case, where people actually were able to talk with each other and iron out compromise and differences. No doubt this person, Nina Wojcicki, is taking on a rather unpopular view. I think perhaps unpopular amongst the mass of American people. I think most people on social media believe there's too much censorship and that censorship is not a good thing. Even amongst liberals, I would think that they would believe that censorship is not a good thing. And I think, again, the majority of Americans, and I would assume to think, and I could be absolutely wrong on this, that the overwhelming number of Americans believe that most censorship, and the censorship that is done by this administration, is not a good thing. And there seems to be a change in our newsrooms. And this change seemed to have begun with our former president, President Trump. They became far more ideologically driven. And they seem to be on a side. And other sides are being picked as well. And there's no room for nuance or objectivity. Could be wrong on this. Now, I do have Angela. I want to say hello, Angela. How are you? She has come to my show. And like to, maybe I'll give her a link. Well, that's actually my YouTube page. Sorry, let me invite. If you wish to come on, because I think, me and Angela are in the same kind of age group, and we certainly see a difference. And we're both news and political junkies most of our lives, and we've seen a change within generations and within people. And it seems like generations have become less objective, and perhaps more dogmatic. And the establishment seems to be catering to this kind of dogmatism. And it doesn't seem very popular. And the people that are dogmatic, and this was Charles Murray that said this, the people that are dogmatic are not aware of their dogmatism. I think that they believe that they are objective. Now, I come from an entertainment industry family. I have family and friends that were in the entertainment industry. And people often, I don't think, look at other sides. And a lot of times people don't necessarily even look at themselves. And if, I don't think the people who do these newscasts even look at them, because it's hard to look at yourself. I can mention two actors. One passed and one is still alive. He's rather old now, but Henry Fonda hated the sound of his own voice and never watched any of his films. Or if he did it very rarely, but he did not like the sound of his voice. And the same thing with William Shatner. They don't like to watch themselves on screen because they're very self-conscious. And right now, this person, Nina Jankowicz, is going through the ringer. And they are humiliating her, rightly or wrongly. that's what they're doing. And I don't think, well, that's the way it is online. And the truth is, it's easy to piss somebody off. It's easy to make them angry. It's very difficult to get somebody to see an opposing point of view and see your reason and your logic. And it seems like we've gone further down the road of people on cultural ends not seeing the other person's point of view, not being objective. People make mistakes, and people can be arrogant. And then when they're shown up, it's very difficult to admit that you're wrong and to admit that you're wrong in the right manner. Contrition is hard. I don't know in my lifetime that I can remember someone giving me a legitimate and heartfelt apology. And I don't know if anyone else has ever been given. Actually, I take that back. I can only remember one time where a person has given me a heartfelt apology who did me wrong. And I can remember one time when I did somebody wrong and I gave them a heartfelt apology. But for the most part, people don't necessarily apologize. And when they're in positions of power, I don't think that they apologize either. Political Woodstock, what do you think of what I've been saying? Do you have anything to add about what I've said?
Well, let's check my levels. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, I can hear you. You are coming in crystal clear. How am I
Okay,
coming?
if I don't, please let me know. For everybody else, I'm out in the woods. Hello from Political Woodstock. And are we talking about censorship, cancel culture? Is this what you're discussing?
Well, we're talking about censorship, the corporate media, and cancel culture as well. And
Mm-hmm.
we're diving into a few things that go into this. Elon Musk buying Twitter seems to have startled the administration to get this person Nina Jankowicz on the board on a disinformation board.
Wait, he created a disinformation board?
I believe so. Yeah, that's what they're calling it. Yeah.
Now, I heard and saw an article, I don't know if it's verified, that he had fired the board that is there. Once he bought it, he fired a lot of people that were on the board. Is that true?
I think that's perhaps going to happen, but that has not been finalized yet. Now, Master of
Well,
Rope. Oh, I just wanted to
go
mention that.
ahead.
Yeah, Master of Rope says that humans in general refuse to be wrong. It's a human thing, and that is true. It is a very human thing.
Well, it's a sign of insecurity when you cannot accept that someone has a different viewpoint or different values from yourself. Like Christians have a hard time with that in particular, I've noticed. In other fundamental religions, they have a hard time accepting that maybe someone's of the LGBT persuasion because their belief system says that's a bad thing, that shouldn't happen, and that they're warriors of God. So that's what I have to say on that.
Anytime you believe that you are on the side of the angels, you're gonna put the other people on the side of the devils or the devil or the archangels, and they become your enemy instead of a fellow human being. And
Well,
we
hmm
see,
go ahead.
and by the way, political Woodstock, we see that on multiple sides where there
That's
is,
true. Like even in voodoo, I had a friend that was in voodoo. Oh my gosh. She had this room in her house. It had a cement floor, this fireplace. She even had skulls on this table with all these, I assume they're herbs, crystals. And she talked about the light and dark of everything. Now, her grandmother worked with Houdini to expose charlatans back in when spiritism was a big deal. And I learned a lot from that woman because I could see a lot of that in other belief systems, and you had to have belief in the system for it to actually work. And our mind is very powerful. But those are my thoughts there. And I'm glad you and I can talk, and we sometimes have really disagreed in the past. And I've learned probably in the last 6 years that it's okay for someone to have a radically different ideal or ideology or political stance than myself. Even if I think they're wrong, it's okay, because the world is about light and dark or different sides. I don't want to say you're, well, bad. I just disagreed with you. I'm like, how could you? Remember how I used to talk to you? That's so wrong. Where's your humanity? Remember when I used to say those things to you?
yeah, and again, I fell into a trap of trying to make people, like, I mean, a lot of people fall into the trap of making people angry. And if somebody
Well,
doesn't
I,
want to, yeah, the thing that a lot of conservatives, I think they make a mistake on, unless they're in perhaps positions of power, is they try to corner them and they try to talk to protesters and they try to get them in I gotcha moments.
yes,
And, and,
absolutely.
and liberals do this too.
Oh, yes, on both sides. You're absolutely right. And they'll do all or nothing thinking. It's all my way or the highway. You know, your poor excuse of humanity will come out of both sides' mouths. And we need to get to where we can have a conversation because I think that's where real change happens. And maybe my way's not the right way, or maybe a little bit of my way is the right way. But if I don't listen to another person, I can't grow as an individual and help my society that I'm in if that's what I want to do. Maybe I don't want to help my society. And that's where anti fascists come in and Antifa. They're not wanting to help their society, in my limited opinion. What say you?
I think there's a lot of ego with that.
Mm-hmm.
And ego is mankind's most powerful narcotic. And
You think so?
I think it is I think it's a very, well, it's been said. I should say it's been said that ego is man's most powerful narcotic, and women's, it's a narcotic for both male and female.
Sorry. I'm trying to look at the chat and it
Yeah, yeah,
activated the sound. Sorry about that.
yeah.
Well,
But
hello everybody. I just want to say hello to people in the
yeah,
I've been very, very busy the last couple months. And tonight, guess what I get to do tonight, Brian?
what's that?
I get to get rid of a hornet's nest. I have one forming. I'm out in the woods in my cabin place, my little home. So I don't, do you know how to get rid of a hornet's nest?
I certainly don't. I know how to
I
make.
have hornet spray for such a problem
I
because
would.
my neighbor,
Yeah.
she had like 2,000 hornets in a closet, like a really big nest.
Okay.
So
I I would recommend wearing protective clothing if I'm going to deal with
I'm going to
that.
wear long sleeves and a
Yeah.
hat.
And gloves and face protection. But let's get on to the topic, because we're talking about a real hornet's nest here. And sometimes when you're engaging with people, you are engaging in a hornet's nest, because that's kind of the analogy I'm going to put. if you see something that is dangerous, uh, my advice to that person is to avoid danger. And if you know that somebody is vindictive and cruel, and they've proven themselves to be vindictive and cruel and irrational, it is best to avoid them. The most intelligent thing that a person can do um, is avoid them. And what I'd like to see, hopefully, we can get to a point of where there's been a lot of canceling and people, that there's forgiveness and acceptance of some of the people that have
Hmm.
canceled. Just, I mean, for people just saying words, I mean, the people who have done physical violence, there needs to be law against them and punishment. But the people who just said words, and sometimes inappropriate words, um, you know, I almost say that,
Ryan,
yeah,
do
go
you
ahead.
mean inflammatory words?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
your old show to inflammatory talk? Because
absolutely.
there
Well,
was a lot of heated, angry words there, but
there,
not knowing if someone has a plan of action. But, there's such a thing as staying out of somebody's business, and their worldviews are their worldviews until they tell you they have a plan to cause harm, and then that's a police matter, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think that, like I said, kicking over a hornet's nest. If you see somebody is, they don't want to engage, don't engage. I mean, I go on Discord, and sometimes, in certain Discord rooms, they'll bring up topics that they don't want to talk about, and I should just be quiet about it. I certainly would like to bring them up, but if they're not interested in engaging or they're hostile, and it turns into an argument, I'm not interested in engaging. You know, um,
Well said. Well said. I believe in that as well. I don't want to waste my time or energy or get stressed out just because someone is egging you on. And most of the time, that's what it is. They just want a reaction out of you. If they don't have any, if you don't respond, then what's the sense in them to keep going? Doesn't make sense to me. So, get out into nature, put your feet in mud and water. It's a good thing, included.
Also, I might add that you might want to fast for a while and reflect and feel those hunger pains. Because if you can control what comes in your mouth, you can also, I think, control what comes out of your mouth. And self control is a good thing. And I'm still, you know what? I'm still learning at 50, at 53. Was it? I'm 50, 52 years old, almost 53.
Don't mention age.
Okay. Well, I'm in my 50s and I'm still learning about decent and good self control. And I wanted to mention that believer Naomi Judd has recently passed away, and it's from
Oh
depression.
no. I think it was self-inflicted is what it sounds like
You might be right on that. And
because of how they stated it, the daughters. Yeah, so
yeah, and depression is real.
yes.
Depression hurts, and the fact that the fact that's really sad for me, political Woodstock, is
Yes.
we can't even touch on these subjects anymore and find out what is the best.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I forgot YouTube rules.
What's that?
Well, I didn't say the word,
Okay.
so that
What?
I think we're good.
Yeah, but I think that what is sad about our modern internet and social media is we cannot talk about what are the best solutions to these problems uh,
I
with
don't know.
with
I
regards
just
with regards to
don't know.
mental health. Now, Joe and I did a show about Adderall and what are
Oh, I think that's a bad medication.
yeah, I mean, and I don't know whether it's good or bad. I just know that that there are a lot of people who say that it works for them, and there are a lot of people that say who have horror stories about that
Well,
medication.
I don't know. Did Joe touch on this one point that Adderall is basically legal meth? That's my understanding. And I might be wrong. Did he talk about that?
Yeah, I've heard that that's not necessarily correct, and
Oh, okay.
before I touch on that subject, political Woodstock, I'd have to read more on the chemistry of drugs like Adderall to make a because right now I just be shooting at the dark, and that's before I say something like that, I want to know exactly what I'm talking about, and I've heard that too, but that's
I've heard it from medical people. And an ex-fiance had to be on Adderall. He was bright and intelligent, but he needed help, bless his heart. And the doctor said this is basically legal meth. And that, but I don't know, he could be wrong. The doctor could be wrong. I just think they could find other medications that would work better, that are not addictive and do not harm your body. That would be nice.
well,
Simpler.
yeah. I mean, and one of the things that we're trying to get across with transparency and merit to see if there are workable alternatives. And what are those workable alternatives to these drugs? Right now we're still going through a medical, still a medical crisis. This pandemic is still somewhat with us. And a lot of people don't know that there is a drug, there is a vaccine out in Cuba that seems to be rather effective in fighting the newest strain of this pandemic. So,
Really?
uh, yeah, you just look it up. Look up vaccine in Cuba.
Cuba. Cuba has some really good medical, I don't know what the word is, places. They're innovative. I think they're ahead of the curve sometimes. Yeah, especially with eye work. I don't know why, but they're really good with eyes. But that's interesting. There's so much of a struggle with mental issues since COVID has hit. And now, my God, now you can work. You can't afford anything. I mean, you might as well be stuck in your home. But a lot of people can't even stay in their home because rent, mortgages, right, the rates have gone sky high. But I think also with cancel culture, if you're a victim of cancel culture, I could see where mental health would decline to the point of no longer being there. And that's happened. I've seen troll groups that have made that happen. It just sickens me, completely sickens me. And they think they've won something. I mean, what have you won? Tragedy? Have you won sadness, frustration? Have you caused people trauma and you're enjoying it? And this is to all of society. This isn't right. And I don't know how we could regulate it. You can't really tell people what to think, or you shouldn't be able to say where they can say things. But I think it's going to come to that point where they're going to regulate it, at least on the internet. Just people need to get in their small groups again and just chat with each other. But even that, someone might video you. They're going to call you a Karen or a Keith. They might do that. Or the one angry Jew, they might call him Harold. Maybe they'll start calling those people Harold. But where is he, by the way? Is he taking a break? Are you taking a break from the one angry Jew?
He decided not to come on, but I'm going to limit my guests just because I want some control. I mean, I'll have him on from time to time, but if I
That
have
would
a
be nice.
yeah,
That would be nice to have a variety and to get some different people in here. I usually download your videos and listen to them after. Yeah, so that's usually what I do. So you're still fasting. You're still on the thing about due process and cancel culture, and these are all really good topics. We got to stay healthy. A healthy body is a healthy mind. And I think that's really important what you put in your body. and how often are you letting your desires control your mind and body, or is it the other way around? Are you able to have a system where there's harmony, balance? These are good words. But yeah, I'm very concerned about Twitter. I want to see what he has planned. I think it'll be innovative, and I think a lot of people won't like it because no one likes change. What do you think Elon Musk is going to do with Twitter?
It's really hard to say. He has a lot of powerful opposition. And I heard some things about him. I was talking to somebody today, and I heard some different things about him. And his life story is not necessarily what you think. And there is a innovativeness to this man. And look, I don't agree. I may not agree with everything that he says, but I believe he wants to strive to make Twitter a free speech platform, and he says, I welcome people that disagree with me. And there are a lot of people right now that do not welcome disagreement. And it's kind of sad. And, like I said, I think we want to go and examine as many facts as we can. And we are either a nation of free thinkers who can handle information, or we're not. And right now, I think that they think that that we are not. We're not. Now, this person, by the way, Susan. I mean, not Susan. I mean, this person, Nina. What's her name?
Hmm. From
Nina.
Twitter?
Yeah, she's not from Twitter, by the way, but
Oh,
she.
okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah. So as of now, let me see. She in April 22, 2022, and they don't say the exact date. She was selected to head the newly formed Disinformation Governance Board, and the Disinformation Governance Board is part of Homeland Security, announced on April 27th. 2022 during 2023, and I wonder if she's going to be part of, like if she's going to testify before Congress. Republican lawmakers and pundits criticized the board after its formation, with some calling it to be disbanded. Senator Josh Hawley opined that Homeland Security has decided to make a policy about Americans' speech top priority. Some critics include Florida Ron DeSantis and former representative of Hawaii Tulsi Gabbard, linked the Ministry of Truth, a fictional government department in George Orwell. So the Ministry of Truth is, and there are things that are Orwellian about this, and I don't know anyone
Well,
of note who thinks that this is a good thing. And
is this kind of like Harry Potter? They had the ministry, it meant truth. It was something like that. Did they take that idea from them? I wonder, where you could say certain things, or
part of
they restricted a lot of different things, and it was paper pushers. It was, when there's so much, I'm forgetting words today. I'm so sorry. Well, go ahead. And this is highly interesting.
yeah, I recommend that you look up. I recommend that you look up Disinformation Governance Board. It's something that is newly formed, and newly formed within our government. It doesn't seem that popular, and I can't see this going too forward. And and again, it goes back to, you wonder if people are self-aware. And
No, they're not. They're too distracted. I would highly encourage you to put something in chat, like a homework assignment, look up. See, I'm having a hard time remembering words. the Ministry of Misinformation or whatever Department of Misinformation.
They can see right here. They can type into Google
Okay.
Information Governance Board, and also
Oh, I
look.
see that. I'm on a phone, so it's real small.
Yeah, you want to look at, yeah, because I put in my chat right here, Disinformation Governance Board, and
Look
this,
that up, people.
yes, and
And come back and discuss it because I think this is necessary to discuss.
also
Concluded.
look up United States Department of Homeland Security and what their idea is on this. And again, I'm wondering if this person is going to if this person is going to testify uh, before Congress. Um, and Yeah, I mean, Nina Jankowicz, if and when she will testify before Congress, and how she's going to handle these questions, because seems to have been inaccurate before. So how can she be nonpartisan?
Well, that culture changes, or the internet, the whole culture changes. I would suggest going to the Oversight Committee. It's a federal committee to see if she's slated to be on any type of hearing. They have hearings every day with that Oversight Committee, well, Monday through Friday. And they've had also the Intelligence Committee. They have some hearings, but the Oversight Committee has had, uh, people from Facebook, Twitter, jaw-dropping testimony from it that I think we should all be aware of. C-SPAN can be your friend. They have a library. For those that do not know, you can type in C-SPAN library and type in whatever you're interested in, or if you happen to know the date of a hearing, you can put in that date. It pulls up all the hearings they had that day. It's surprising. And the same thing with the Supreme Court. They have a site of their own. You can listen to oral arguments as they're happening live. I mean, that is really cool. So those are things that people can put in their toolbox and find out for yourself. Don't just believe an article. Don't just believe an article. Because like that article I referred to, I didn't know if it was verified, of Elon Musk firing all the board of directors, basically. So, which would be his right to do so. But I think that's good to give some people homework. Then if they want to come on, they'll be more informed to have a conversation. Conversation today, conversation forever should be our mantra. Not this cancel culture. Allow people to have their differing opinions and have a conversation. Learn from each other, grow with each other. You know, you can always learn something from a person. Concluded. I'm sorry I talked so much.
You know what? I'm going to end. This will be the last topic, and then I think I'll end the show. But I wanted to go into. You and I have both been news junkies and political junkies most of our lives. I mean,
Hey, hey.
for a large portion of our lives, and we knew news programs, Walter Cronkite, Ted Koppel. Uh, I remember CNN when it first started. I remember the first Gulf War
Yes.
with George Bush Sr. And I remember the newsroom, and they never behaved or acted the way that they behaved today. I wonder if it is more of circumstances changing, or the generation that has come after the baby boom generation.
Reagan happened. That's what happened. And screwed the media up, if you ask me. But you weren't asking me. But
Yeah,
I agree with everything you're saying. I remember getting up at 4 o'clock to watch that news on CNN. And I'm like really young, and it was just inspiring to me. I couldn't get enough of it. So I remember.
yeah. Well, CNN took off with the first Gulf War, um, but again, I see that behavior has changed, and I wonder if it's a combination of the time, like the political times, the person that we had in the White House and the generation that that has emerged. These people are far more combative with their guest. Like if they had a guest on,
Oh yeah.
I mean, Ted Koppel never behaved the way Don Lemon and Bernard Shaw never behaved the way
Oh,
Don.
never. But they had the fair reporting. It wasn't like for your credit. It was about reporting both sides of the issue. If you're in media, if you were a journalist, and after Reagan, he did away with that. You no longer had to present both sides of the issue.
But
Just
but
it's
you
aggravating.
yeah, but you and I both came of age during the Reagan administration, and we still saw kind of a stoic presence with our reporters, and they did not do commentating. They did not behave in that way. Um,
Only in cartoons. Because I used to keep cartoons. I was a strange child. I'm like 7, 6, and I'm cutting out the cartoons of President Carter when he became president, and then when Reagan became president. I think they probably should have hospitalized me. I was so upset Carter didn't win that second presidential election, and I still have documents from my childhood, and it's full of all this political stuff. I think I've been obsessed
let me ask you
since
this.
I was 5.
Let me ask you this. Do you know who the third party candidate was that ran that year?
Hold on. I do. I do. My medication takes words away.
Starts with an A.
I was thinking of somebody else. Michael A. Hold on. I can get this. I can get this.
I don't even remember his first name. I only knew his last name.
Oh, that's his last name? Um, he was at the Green Party and he professed to be a libertarian. I'll think of it in a minute, but I do know it. I just,
It
you
was
know,
Anderson. It was
it
Anderson.
was who?
He was actually he was somewhat of a liberal Republican.
What was
I
his first name? Or do you not remember?
don't remember his first name. I just remember his last name being Anderson.
Maybe it was Michael Anderson. I'm remembering a Michael. And
He
there was a female that tried to run for president when Carter ran.
okay, because in the primary, Ted Kennedy ran against Carter, and then
Oh,
yeah, and I forget Anderson's.
Mondale. I got tea on Mondale. My cousin was a page at the time at the White House. Mondale was not straight. He was married to a woman. My cousin's gay.
Okay,
And I'm
I,
just saying,
I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that.
I got a letter. I have a letter that you wrote my mom.
I
I
know,
have proof.
but I know, but that issue.
Okay, okay, I'll be quiet about it. I'm just like, oh man, I just suddenly remembered that.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that. I'm sorry. That I don't want to get into that issue.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I can respect that.
That's because it does no good.
I hear you.
And I
Well, let's
mean,
go on to the homework thing. What are you
yeah,
going to discuss on your next show? And when will it be?
I think I'm going to have an interview on my next show,
Okay.
and I think we're going to talk a lot about finance, money, and how to help yourself and your the best thing that you can do if you are down on your luck. But I wanted
Well,
to,
that's almost everybody now with inflation.
yeah. But again? And I wanted to get us back to the topic at hand
Yes.
of the difference in generations and the difference in
Mm-hmm.
here with regards to social media and the news. I mean,
Yes.
the thing of it is, social media, it's a whole new form of criticism that's
Yes.
out there. And government officials are much more apt to be criticized. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that we have I don't think that we have a politician or that we have any politicians that are up to the task. Or maybe we do. I don't know of any of
Well, what
now.
about that Republican from Utah? Starts with an R. He's
Yeah,
Mormon.
Yeah, yeah. Again, a lot of these people, I don't know. And I don't want to get into any politician, but I don't
Well, I'm
know.
just saying he's consistent. If we had more consistent politicians and you knew where they stood, it would be helpful. But I'm fully on the boat between the different generations. The younger generations are like carnivores. Like they want to destroy everything in their path, where the older people are about creating and fortifying the foundations that we have. Integrity matters. It really does.
I'll
And
tell
I don't see that with the young people. Concluded.
I'll tell you something though. People have always been passionate, and back in the day, there were duels, and there when we talked about slavery, there was a guy who got assaulted with a stick, and the people like when they sent him back to Congress, they gave him a bigger stick. So people have always been passionate, and people have always been ready. I mean, like people have fought and gotten face to face, and it seemed like we were maybe turning a corner, and now we're going back to the same type of thing where it's almost like there's no there's no compromise. It's my way or the highway, and the other side's and then that makes the other side want to rebel. So we see two fists, and no one wants to unclench their fist. Now the other one might unclench its fist for a while because it's smaller, but sooner or later it's going to clinch again. And if it feels it can get away, get power, it's because it's angry and it's building up. It's trying to it's retreating and regrouping, and it doesn't feel like a very healthy society and a very healthy nation. There are so many nuances with regards to both internal, like inside politics, inside the nation, and international. And it's something that we, I'd like us to talk about. And people who've traveled the world and have seen different sides of the world, and we're supposed to be more worldly, and more worldly should be like I always thought that being more worldly would make us more objective, and that hasn't been the case. Political Woodstock, I'll leave it to you for the last statement, and then I'm going to call this show a day.
Well, this has been a great show comparing the past and the present. But I really would like to get people to like your show, and while they're out at it, subscribe and ring the bell, select all notifications, and you'll get to have the knowledge of when the next show is coming up. He has lots of interviews, relevant information. So that's just my spiel. And I think we need to do the homework that we talked about earlier, looking up that department of misinformation. And I think that we need to know more and not sit by and just let it happen. So thank you for having me on your show. I really enjoy it. I like listening to your show. I download your show because right now I'm in the woods and I have to if I sometimes don't have signal. So I'm concluded and I look forward to your next show. I guess you'll tell us about what day that might be. It won't go on mute. I'm trying. Can you mute me? I can't.
Oh, all right, I'll meet. Okay, oh, I meet it. Okay, well, yeah. So we're taking a little bit of a change, and I'm going to put a few shows on private. You can catch them on Rumble, but I want to have respectful discussions and basically go into the deep into the woods of our culture and of outside influences and take a deep dive into many different topics. Okay, guys, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Visit our Rumble page, Transparency and Merit on Rumble. And also visit our website at transparencyandmerit.com. Thank you for listening, and try to remain calm.